Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Plodcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever, but, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
You normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Plodcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode brought to you by SportsShoes.com. As always, this was meant to be a weekend roundup, but Matt and I have kind of decided it's more of a weekend preview, I guess, because nothing much to report really from last week except the Doha Diamond League, which we will go into a little bit, mate.
Yeah, mate, they were obviously great. Manchester 10K was on the weekend as well, so there were some good races there and some decent results. Multiple women breaking 32. For the 10,000 and on the men's side, yeah, a bunch of men sort of sub 29, but yeah, nothing to get too excited about. It was a good event though. I mean, supposedly, I actually haven't double checked it, but when I watched that great Manchester 10K, Steve Cram was saying on commentary that they threw down a sub 13 last 5K, and I don't think I watched the program for long enough after the race to see if that was true or not, and I haven't checked it since. I don't know where you would sort of check those splits. But yeah, Alfie Manthorpe was first Brit home as well, right around his PB of 28.20. So yeah, strong run from him. But yeah, you're right. And in the Doha Diamond Leagues before that, we were just talking about Riki's run, weren't we, in the 1500? And 4:07 there, and Lum reckons the peak of women's 1500 is over. He's judging that off of off of like a couple 1500s this season. Track season's barely got going, but bold claim.
Yeah, I mean, talking about that, and also the indoor results we saw this year as well. With I don't think any women broke 4 minutes, or if they did, it was a couple of women who broke 4 minutes. And I think we were talking, weren't we, that you take Kipyegon out of these races, much like you take Jakob out of a few 1500 meter races, and the culture of trying to go after these ridiculous times does change a bit. And I also think it depends what the athletes are thinking. With the men, if they're all thinking, oh, Jakob's the man to beat come Tokyo, they want to be in quick races every week, so they're simulating that. But actually, if they think that Kerr's the favourite, if they think that Cole Hocker's the favourite, you don't need to be in a quick race every week. And whilst I think these women will still be believing Kipyegon's a favourite, I think they all admit they're also racing for second place. So do they need to be trying to get in a 3:55 race every single week? I don't think so, and I do think we might see a bit of a change towards what we've been used to seeing before the last 3-4 years.
No, I agree. Look, you know, we're in an era of just a couple trailblazers in Kipyegon and Jakob, and you know, they are just so good and so confident and happy, and their style is almost that front running style they've adopted, and they're very comfortable doing that. And obviously loads of people have benefited off the back of that, and you've had to really develop I guess your peak in the sport in order to handle those races that are fast. But I think you're right. I think we are going to see a shift. And hey, talking of Jakob, he's obviously come out with a little bit of an injury, which is going to affect his season opener as well. So how long will it be till he gets back into training? Fair play, he's being super transparent, comes out on YouTube and has a whole video about it. But if you're the likes of, you know, Kerr and Hocker and Nagusen, all these guys have been able to outkick Jakob in the past few years, I think they're going to be very excited with that. Even though Worlds is not till September, it is still a long way off. But yeah, it's time where Jakob is then going to have to get back into start building up his aerobic base again, and it's going to be quite a while since presumably he's running fast 1500 pace stuff on a track. So, you know, they're out there running Grand Slam, sharpening their tools. So, yeah, I think our call of potentially Jakob not winning a 1500 major title, outdoors at least, is probably a good shout.
Yeah, mate. But it's like anyone, right? No one does it consistently. Like you look at history, no matter how good people have seemed to be, right? So it's why it's such a hard race to win, and it's why you put Kipyegon's performances into perspective. You realise just how ridiculous they are to consistently win over an event that is so unpredictable. But hey, the interesting thing about Jakob as well, I think a lot of people in the last couple of years have, I guess, championed the fact that Jakob never makes excuses and he always shows up, even if he's not in his best shape. Look, it's 20th of May already. recording this. Yeah, we're still not going to see him. So we'll see. Like, I think he's going to have to be a bit more careful about keeping his cards close to his chest, because he can't just rock up and expect to win, and he needs to really, really target Tokyo. And actually, yeah, if we don't see Jakob as much on the circuit and we don't see him doing that, I think that's probably going to be better for him to win.
Yeah, you might be right. I think, in terms of the year and the landscape, though, mid-September, I think second week of September is when the Worlds are, and actually usually we've seen major champs end. I mean, the Olympics last year was end of July, August. It was pretty early, and previous year before that, I think Worlds was similar, and then obviously 2022 we had Worlds in crazy early time of June, and amongst the Europeans and the commies that year. So he has got quite a bit of time. In a normal year, this would probably be the equivalent of early April, and we're not seeing people open up in early April. So, but yeah, interesting events going down in the world of track and field at the moment, especially on the distance front, as always. Grand Slam is another thing that we should talk about. Obviously, they've now the next Grand Slam is going to be next weekend in Philadelphia, and they've changed to just the one event in that long distance that they call it. Even that is just going to be the 3K, and I just have a feeling. Look, they said, they have looked at it and, they need to adapt there and then, but I have a feeling they're just struggling to get names in these races. The last Grand Slam for me, the field was pretty weak. Gebriwet and Grijalva were both injured, so they're two big name races that aren't featuring in this 3K and 5K. I think it's just not. And now distance runners have seen Grand Slam unfold. I think that in the 3 and the 5, they're even more just going to sit on the sidelines and go, I just don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah. The issue is until Grand Slam is like the thing to win, until that is the creme de la creme, if it ever gets to that point. I'm not suggesting it will. You can't expect to have great fields every single meet. I think that the sprinters fine, even the 15 guys, like you say, they're sharpening their tools. It looks like good fun out there. They're getting a lot of attention, but yeah, for those 3K, 5K guys, I just don't think it's sustainable unless the biggest title on offer for the year is to be Grand Slam champ at the end of the season.
I think end goal, that's probably what they want. But,
of course it is, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think now they're competing against Diamond Leagues. Like we had Doha last week, we had a 5,000 in there, which actually 13-16 or so, wasn't it? The Chariot wins it. And that was actually quite a similar play out to what we've seen at Grand Slam, the way they did. Yeah, it was quite a few laps in 70 early on, and before they really started to pick it up and get after it, they closed well. But yeah, Doha last week, and we got Rabat this weekend, and in 2 weeks' time, you've got Rome, Oslo, and Stockholm. They're all really crammed together. I think they're in a 9-day window, so it's interesting because I think they were able to. They basically had the pick of any star early on in the season because there was no other events on at that period of time. Whereas now people are getting other offers, and they might want to go and get qualifying times and race here and there and rate it. So a difficult period. So it's a shame because they're going against what they said what they were trying to build, I think, and their USP was the whole 2-event thing. And hey, if they're doing it for the 3 and the 5K, what's to stop them starting to do it in other events? The hurdle screams to me as well. Like the 400 hurdles and the flat 400 is, again, do people really care about that flat 400? The same with the 110 hurdles and then the flat 100. Do people really care about that flat 100? And so I can see that being an event where they just axe it completely. And then, hey, look, before you know it, you end up having a Diamond League. So
that's it. I think the only way they can resolve it is you've got to get everyone signed on as racers and scrap this challenger thing where they can dip in and out. I mean, even the races in a way they can dip in and out, but it is does seem to be legitimately for injuries. Not like they're going to pop up in the Diamond League instead.
No,
but you basically got to get all the big names signed on for the whole season, and that's it. U6, U8 are racing every single meet, and then it wouldn't actually be so much of an issue if they didn't have to race twice, But say in the 1500, if we had all the guys in there plus Jakob every single time, and you have 4 meets where they're all going to race over 1500 meters, absolutely fine. I don't think the 2 races necessarily adds to that, but that's the issue, is that there's so many challengers, or in the case of the 5K, it's not even enough challengers, and it's just Grant Fisher running around every week.
I think you're right. If they committed the same core 8-10 runners to 4 1500s in a year, that would be pretty special. We'd have 4 mouthwatering 1500s or 4 mouthwatering 5Ks to look forward to, and that would complete the slam. And maybe that is the road they'll go down and the path they follow. But I do agree with that.
Yeah, it's just hard for them, isn't it? It's so hard. They can't pay everyone loads of money just to be just to compete, let alone throw the prize money in their first year. And that's the difficulty. It's just, are they going to do enough this year to really like retain some of these guys, even as well as bringing in more? We will see, and time will tell. But mate, apart from that, lots of races to look forward to. You yourself, you're hyped for that comeback 5K, aren't you? And maybe it's going to be even better than a Grand Slam.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a wedding on that this Friday, so I'm gutted I won't actually be there at the comeback 5,000. But yeah, for me, that's the big event this weekend on Friday. With I mean, the men's 5K is absolutely stacked. I think they've got 32 in that A race, and almost all of them are sub 14 minutes. If they're not sub 14, they've got big pedigree. Like for, I think Callum Johnson, for example, is right on the cusp of 14 minutes, and he's obviously in that A race. It's being paced at 13:20. And I've heard people like Jacob Kahn, Clem Elson are going to go with this. Jack Kavanagh potentially if he's fit. Rory Leonard, I think, is doing the pacing. Obviously, those guys building towards that 10,000 on the 14th of June. Brett Rushman's in there. George Wheeler's in there. So hopefully he can get a graphic together. George, have you looked at the start list yet, mate? Get a graphic for us together. And I guess the big standout name is Tamer Tarragano, and seeing what he can do. He's fresh off a 747 3000 as well. So, but yeah, for me, that 5K it's got everyone in domestically that you would want. I think it's going to be very competitive, and I'm hoping we can see something and replicate something that we've had at like a podium festival on the roads in Leicester when we get, can't even remember the numbers, but I want to say 30 break 14 or something like that. Like, can we almost have like a whole race break 14? Probably unlikely it's going to happen. The track is brutal, and it's going to be difficult for a lot of guys in this field when you've got the pacer going off at 13:20, and you know, athletes will know what shape they're in, but you know, a lot of them are asking big things of themselves to go around 13:20 in this one, because when you set off at 64s, I mean, a lot of these guys are, you know, 7:55 3K runners. So when you set off at 64s, you're almost asking yourself to go through quite close to your 3K PB and then carry on. So it could get messy. We'll see. I think it'll be a great race. And by the way, the depth, full stop at the comeback 5,000, they've done a great job, because there's a whole bunch of, I think there's 5 or 6 other races, and they're all stacked with 30 athletes or so. I mean, this thing sold out instantly. And the B race is 30 guys who are just basically 14:15 to 14:20 as well. So strength to numbers is key, as we know, when it comes to getting fast times. And the women's 5K as well, we should mention, but not quite as, I guess, deep, in a sense that you're going to have athletes who are going to be looking for 15:15 apparently on the front end, India Weir, people like that. But Poppy Tank's in there. But then you are obviously going to have athletes who are just looking to break 16 minutes. So it's almost like that women's A race needs 2 paces, because there's a lot of them who are on the cusp of 16 who would love to break it for the first time, but they might have to be doing a lot of hard work themselves out there.
Yeah, I think it's similar in the men, though, to be honest, mate, in terms of the men's definitely is deeper, but I still think 2 paces probably wouldn't go amiss, because the guys outside of the top.
Yeah, definitely.
Top 8 maybe on paper, they're going to seriously struggle to run 13:20s. Anything further back than that, I almost think the ones who stay back a bit more potentially might even come out on top. So we will see. But yeah, like that women's race, obviously, like you mentioned, a few quick names at the front: India Weir, Amelia Quirk, Beth Kidger's in there, Lucy Jones as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Meg Gatsby as well. So look, a few good names in there, but like you say, it depends how this race plays out. And look, they might even throw 2 paces in by the end of it, or there's enough athletes in there that
there is enough.
As long as like you got a few of you being sensible, people can kind of come up with their own pace groups, if you like.
Yeah, I think the weather looks amazing as well, so expect to see some fast times, and I'm sure a few of the listeners are looking forward to it, and they'll be based down in London, so they'll be there present anyway. But yeah, it's always a great evening of racing, and it's tough because it's the same, obviously it's the day before the BMC Grand Prix as well, first BMC Grand Prix on Saturday, so kind of a big clash there. But interestingly, a lot of the top 5,000 meter runners have opted to go to Comeback, and I think given what Comeback have done over the last few years, you can't blame them, can you, with the way these races get set up, so, and the atmosphere that they can bring. From the middle distance point of view, there'll be some, there's no start list out yet, but yeah, the BMC Grand Prix is back on Saturday, and I'm sure there'll be lots of fast times to review. So this is, for me, the first weekend of the year where it's like, there's a lot going on. Coupled with that, there's that sneaky meet in Belgium where people like to go and run fast, also on Saturday night. So expect the iFan meeting out there. So we're going to see a lot of fast times this weekend, and this will get some we're going to understand who's going to be threatening this year and in what event and the new names that we need to look out for.
I think that's it, mate. You're bang on there with the new names. It's the exciting time of year for those guys and girls who are going to breach the gap to the pros. And we know where your Josh Kerrs are going to be. We know where your Georgia Bells are going to be. But it's who's going to be the next athlete to sneak on the podium and maybe even sneak on the plane this summer come British champs. So be good to see how they're unfolding. And yeah, like you say, loads of races to look for. And it's a shame Para 10 doesn't update so quickly these days.
Yeah, what's going on at Para 10? Struggling. But also another race that we should mention is the Track Fest, which is taking place this weekend as well over in the States. And there's some great fields lined up. Not too many Brits doing it, but some good fields lined up over there.
Yes, absolutely, mate, and obviously over stateside. In case you missed it, we had Ed Eystone on the podcast on Sunday. Episode that you and I personally, I think we really enjoyed it, didn't we, mate? Just to hear his perspective on coaching in the NCAA and also coaching some US based pros in Connor Mance and Clayton Young.
I mean, what a job that man is doing. I think for us, selfishly, it was really cool to understand what it's like to be a professional coach, but also a coach for that long. And the experience he's gained. It's just like, I think also it does highlight that even when he started coaching in 2000, it took him, when was his first NCAA title as a team again? Was it 2019? And then he won it again in 2024. Yeah. I think that was kind of reassuring. It's like, it shows you how long actually it can take to achieve these sorts of things. And despite having produced great athletes, even through the kind of 2010s, the likes of Jared Ward getting into the Olympics and getting him 6th place and stuff, but it really takes a while to become into a world-class coach and the experience you need to gain for that. So that was interesting. I mean, he was just a great guy. We really appreciate him coming on. But yeah, especially if you're into coaching or just, I guess, your distance running in general, go listen to that one. But yeah, and then just on those start lists, mate, in this Track Fest, obviously we're going to see the season opener, Jake Wightman. Or he's down to race anyway. So whether we'll see him or not in that men's 1500, it's a field, and like you look at it and you're like, he should win this. The Jake Wightman of old would destroy this field, but it'll be interesting to see how he competes. I mean, there's likes of Joe Wuxham in there, Sam Prakel, Mario Garcia-Romo, like Luke Hauser, Robert Farkin, like these sorts of runners that are good on the international stage, but they're not making Olympic finals. And then the other Brit we got out there is Melissa Courtney-Bryant in the women's 5,000 and Hannah Nuttall as well. Both of them go in that women's 5,000.
And look, Piers Copeland's managed to get himself in that men's 1,500 as well, and around that sort of company. Yeah. From what I'm seeing right now, anyway. So in that sort of company, let's hope he can get back to the Copeland of old, if you like, who showed so much promise a few years ago.
Yep. And the men's 5, here we go. Neil Gawley, James West, and Sam Atkin. Nice little lineup for those boys. And the men's 5 is actually pretty, that's going to be quick. You got Woody Kincaid in there. You got Coscoran in there as well, who we almost see as a Brit, don't we? Morgan McDonald, Kai Robinson, Dylan Jacobs. So all those on guys who ran really well indoors. I mean, Robinson and Jacobs, class at the world indoors, over 3,000. Emon Kemboy, Puma guys. So there's a deep K field to run fast as well. So we'll see. And the men's steeple it's just looking like a good meet all round, to be honest.
It is, to be fair, mate. Honestly, yeah. I kind of when we had it on the preview sheet, I was like, okay, yeah, that'll be all right. But actually, looking at this weekend, mate, I think this is the one to watch. And we got more Brits than I thought we did. So it'll be exciting to see. And like you say, we get the newcomers in the domestic races, and then we'll see how the senior pros are getting on over in LA.
Yep. Yeah, I think I might have to renew that FlowTrack subscription for that one, because I think that might be. They have a live stream actually, a pay-per-view. I can't remember how you get to watch that one, but yeah, we'll look into it and let you know before the weekend. But I think that's it, mate. Pretty much. There's a Rabat Diamond League as well. Startless aren't out for it, but that also is taking place this weekend in obviously in Morocco. Lots to go through, so we'll be back with a big review episode, and we've got a nice episode on Sunday lined up with Alistair Cragg, and we were very fortunate. I don't quite know how we managed to pull it off, because he definitely doesn't do much media, and he even told me that when he got back to us. But yeah, he was open to talking on the podcast. I think shout out Richard Naraka, he put in a word so when they caught up at the Boston Marathon. So yeah, Alistair, thanks for coming on that one, but enjoy that this weekend.
It's just what we do, mate. It's just what we do. But yeah, Guys, look forward to that. Thanks for listening to us ramble as always. We'll catch you very soon.